silently they leave this world. What do? We speak, we listen to them, we hear the story, we watch the pictures, and then what do? Now I think it's time for people who are watching what is going to happen in Bangladesh, for you to think what you can do. All minorities, all, I don't say few or some, I say all religious and ethnic minorities in Bangladesh are in fear, they are scared. They are expecting something very horrifying. When we see the political parties, they are fighting each other, but the opportunists are taking their time to rape the girls, to occupy the lands of the minorities, and then to evict all these people for their safety. We are so small minority in Bangladesh, but we are threats to the political parties. Because every big political parties think we are the vote banks. And just because of that, everybody wants to pull us. Just few days ago, maybe many of you have heard and read in the paper that our opposition leader said, if you minorities give us the vote, we will protect your rights. But what is our experience in the past? The World Tribunal is going on. That is the national matter and that is the judicial matter. Why should the minorities should be attacked? Because they are the witnesses. Because their forefathers were killed by these criminals who are being judged today. That is why the minorities are being attacked. We have seen what had happened in Chittagong, from where Salahuddin Kader Chaudhary comes. When verdict was announced, all minorities had to close their doors through fear. So, I feel as a human rights activist in Bangladesh, if the observers, you people, you friends, you are the observers outside of Bangladesh, and we, the minorities in Bangladesh, are drowned or burning. You are watching, we are crying. Unless you give your hand to us, we cannot be saved. So you have to decide, you have to think how you can save the people of Bangladesh, especially the minorities, and save the humanity. To have discussions is good, but to take steps to do something is best. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rosalie Costa. Now, I would like to request Ms. Bharati Taylor, President of the Hindu Forum of Europe and a member of European Council of Religious Leaders. She came from London, and I would like to request Ms. Bharati Taylor to give her speech.
Namaste. Can I take this out?
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a fidgeter, so I prefer to hold the mic. Thank you very much to the organizers for inviting me. Can we also thank them for the arrangements, because some of the people sitting right at the back have been working really hard. Can we give them a round of applause? In fact, it's somebody from the USA, Sitangshu Guha, who keeps me linked into what's happening with his letters in English. The reason being, I don't read Bengali. So if he didn't send me his letters in English, I wouldn't be able to do half the work that I've done on this issue. There is a PowerPoint. Can somebody please put my PowerPoint on? Thank you. Just in case some of you are not aware of the Hindu Forum of Europe, we were formed 6 years ago to represent mainly the 2 million Hindus that live in Europe. The majority of them live in Britain, 800,000, but across the rest of Europe, there are 1.2 million Hindus. And currently, I serve as president of the Hindu Forum of Europe. There is also a body called the European Council of Religious Leaders. And currently, there is one Hindu invited to join it. That happens to be me. And we're hoping that in future they will expand that council and have more Hindus. Thank you. An interesting point for the organizers and anybody working on Bangladeshi issues or minority religious issues to note is the headquarters for the Religions for Peace World Movement, of which the European Council of Religious Leaders is one. The headquarters are in New York, and if you're not linked in, you should think about it. Okay, so if we proceed with the PowerPoint. Slide 2, please. Okay, I'm going to take you through my journey working on Bangladeshi issues, because that leads you to understand where I might be going next. So I first became aware of the issues in 2011 when the Bangladeshi Hindu, Christian and Buddhist group in London invited me to a conference where I also met some of the people who are here today, such as Tarunji and Chitra and Sitangshu and so on. So I met these people. They told me about the issues in Bangladesh. At that time, I was serving as the Secretary of the Hindu Forum of Britain. I took the information back to my organization, and through them I was able to arrange a meeting for the Bangladeshi group, Buddhists, Christians and Hindus, to meet with the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. So they gave us a meeting about half an hour, and interestingly at the end of that meeting, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office's expert on human rights acknowledged, so this is in 2011, they acknowledged that violence against minorities cannot be put down to general lawlessness, because that's how they described the situation in some regions of Bangladesh, that there is general lawlessness. However, the violence against minorities, they said, was an element of religious persecution. So they admitted that in 2011, and one of the lacks, and I'm going to come on to this later, is that the 3 people who came to represent the Bangladeshis, whether they followed that up by having further meetings. Yeah? So this is coming back to your thing of what are we doing to help. The point was made, but what did the group do to follow it up? I wanted to pursue it myself, but I couldn't because my organization, which was for British Hindus, made a decision that they would only deal with issues in Britain and not abroad. And therefore, I could not pursue this issue. But I kept the Bangladeshi groups informed, hoping they would pursue it. I also gave them links to special commissioners in the United States who are working on issues of minority religious persecution. So I met with the US Special Commissioner for Islamophobia and the US Special Commissioner for anti-Semitism spoke to them to say that there was nobody monitoring what happens to the dharmic communities. There is some, thank you, there is some awareness of what happens to Christians and definitely Abrahamic traditions, but nothing monitoring what happens to the dharmic faiths. They offered us a meeting which actually the Pakistani Hindus took up. But when they actually sat in the room, they did not speak. And that is one of our gaps. When we get these meetings, we must make the points. Next slide. Some of the issues to progress. There's lack of information in English. And believe it or not, most of the world works on English. So when I get information come to me via Facebook or email in Bangla, I have to say, can you please send this to me in English? Because I cannot send it to the organizations that will highlight it unless it's in English. So Sitanshu's letter is one which keeps me informed and I can pursue, but there are still issues and we need to make sure the information comes through in the language of the people who are willing to help. People already willing and able to take up leads. This is what I meant about the lead I gave for the President Obama's special commissioners on religious persecution or Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, who were willing to look at dharmic faiths. But if we don't take up the leads, we can't do any work on them. Next one. So there's a little bit of capacity building to be done. We need steady flow of information. There's another bit of capacity building to be done, is we need to raise the profile at the European Council of Religious Leaders. Now I've been doing that, and I'm going to come later on to where that's led us. Hindu Forum of Europe, of which I was elected president in 2012, have agreed to take forward issues on the human rights front. So we are looking at this. We've appointed our vice president, who happens to be from the Netherlands, Bikram Lal Bahadur Singh, to lead on this issue. We've established links with the human rights group of the European Parliament. It's led by a Dutch member of the European Parliament, and Bikram communicates with him regularly. We've also established links with a non-government organization called Human Rights Without Frontiers. Now, they put out daily bulletins on atrocities or bridging of rights of minorities in different parts of the world. And we've had one bit of success. After having done nothing on Hindu issues, they issued a bulletin, a special bulletin on Bangladesh based on the information I had received from members of this group. So that's a first. And we need to make sure we keep giving them that quality information so that they keep pursuing this. And the more it comes, because every member of the European Parliament gets that bulletin. Based on that, they often hold different events. So that is very important. Next slide. Okay, I think I've covered most of that. Next one, please. So what of the immediate future? Keep pushing for recognition and opening doors. That's what I need to do as European Council of Religious Leaders and as part of the World Council of Religions for Peace and so on. It should say HFB, not HFA there. So Hindu Forum of Britain. So these are the things we will be doing. So I'll be telling people about this. That opens the door. And then the Bangladeshi Hindus, Buddhists and Christian Unity Council needs to then go in.